So I'm out here exploring in rural New Jersey today. Um, this was an old rocket testing facility. I was here about 3 years ago, but when you're starting out on YouTube editing and things like that, you try out different things and different ways of editing and styles. And I used a lot of sounds, but I kind of did it in a different way than I do videos now. So I figured, what the heck, I'll come back. And plus, it's been almost 3 years, so I wanted to see how things have changed and what looks different. But I'm going to check it out. Actually, also looking on Google Earth, there's a couple buildings that I totally missed. So that's going to be interesting. I don't think a lot of people know about those buildings. A lot of people don't know about this place, period. But I'm going to see what it looks like and show you how different it looks now, actually, the last few years. I'll put a link to that original video. You can compare to what it looks like now. So it's interesting to see these type of old factories, like these old buildings, and try to figure out why things were constructed the way they were. Like, obviously this had a purpose, but just so strange. So I wasn't planning on doing any kind of voiceover for this, but I started reading more and more about this company, and the history is amazing. So I'm definitely going to tell you some of the more notable achievements that this company had over the years. Windows. Now, Reaction Motors goes back as far as 1930 in the form of a small group of guys, test flights, small rockets, and a group called American Rocket Society. But the actual company was incorporated in 1938, and it was an early maker of liquid-fueled rocket engines. I mean, there's really some amazing history here of experimental supersonic rocket engines. I don't think I showed this part in that original video, but this is huge. Maybe I showed it from the bottom, but so they would mount a rocket in here, and I think there would be a wooden structure that covered this whole thing, but the rocket would be mounted in here, probably right here, facing outward. So picture a giant rocket right here, and during testing, the flames of it, the engine would burn out that way. And I think there are a couple pictures online, which I'll include, but yeah, this is probably 30 feet, 35 feet. There's another one that's a little bit smaller, but I think that's why that building over there that I just showed you has those weird windows, those recessed windows, because they would be in there during the testing in case there was an explosion or something. There's a couple windows like that here, but interesting. It's a better perspective. One of the past employees had written something on a blog talking about how there were signs in all of the bathrooms that you were not to run the faucets or certainly flush the toilets during testing, because they would pump up the water pressure to over 200 psi in case of a fire. And at that point, if the toilets were flushed, the pressure would be so great that the water would come pouring out of the toilet. And this guy went on to say that he did, either on purpose or by mistake, flush the toilet during a testing, and the water came out of the toilet in the form of a wave and got him pretty wet. This huge building here. Now, this was in the original video that I made. Look at this. No idea what the hell this means. This is where they designed the world's first workable regenerative cooling rocket engines, which paved the way for liquid-fueled rocket engines capable of burning for very long periods of time. They really opened the doors to that type of technology. In 1945, Reaction Motors was granted a contract from the U.S. military to develop experimental supersonic rocket engines. Lots of graffiti. This is when and where the X-Series engines were born, the very first engines to break the sound barrier. They developed the rocket engine that powered the Bell X-1 aircraft, which broke the sound barrier in 1947, piloted by Chuck Yeager. Nothing here but these old lights. This is another one of those rocket testing mounts, or whatever you want to call it. So they would have a rocket up here, and the engine part was facing out this way. They also built the engine that powered the X-1A and the Douglas D-5582 Skyrocket. In 1953, this supersonic aircraft went 1,290 miles an hour, which is twice the speed of sound. Big tank still out here. I'm pretty sure that this is a Superfund site, New Jersey Superfund cleanup site. So it's just waiting in line for its time to be cleaned up. One of the most interesting buildings, probably the most interesting building on this property, is coming up. It's right up here. Like a wooden boat. Looks like Noah's Ark. I don't know if the fan is still in here after a few years have gone by, but oh yeah, there it is. There's the fan up top. What a weird building. Look at all these weird slats. Wooden slats. This is, and it's not there's not even any walls. It's meant for all kinds of ventilation. Look at that. I don't think I even noticed that when I was here last time. This is actually called a cooling tower. I've seen much bigger cooling towers, but it's just interesting how this one is designed. Can't go in there because it's full of water. Weird. This one is even taller than that first one that I showed you. This one's really far back in the woods. Yeah, see, this one has actual rooms and inside. This This one's way bigger.
In 1956, Reaction Motors was awarded a contract by the U.S. Navy this time for development of the XLR-30 engine to be used in the X-15 and eventually pursue manned space missions. The X-15 was a huge success despite costing more than 5 times its original budget. It's credited for reaching an unbelievable Mach 6.72 at 67 miles above the Earth. So I'm not sure exactly when this facility was abandoned. I know that Reaction Motors was acquired by a company called Thiokol Chemical Corporation in 1958, which was then acquired by another company down the road, I think around 2007. So I'm guessing that the name Reaction Motors probably just kind of faded away over the years, and these buildings and the equipment that's left here that you see was probably well past its prime by the late 1960s, and it was just left and forgotten.
This is what I assume was the main entranceway, the main gate, and this was probably a guard shack. But it doesn't guard anything anymore, so this probably was the main building maybe down here. All the actual testing was done pretty far up the hill. Ooh, it smells weird in here. Chemicals. Not even joking. It smells like chemicals in here. Yeah, I think it's probably spray paint. Weird. Tons of these plastic, just pieces of plastic.
Like I said in my other video, it was discovered to be extremely polluted and deemed a Superfund site. There was some small cleanups in the 80s and the 90s where barrels of chemicals and things like that were removed, but I think the ground and the groundwater is still very much polluted.
What the heck is this thing? Kamin Nuclear. Whoa. I don't know if that's dead or if it's...
It's dead.
You sure? That thing is gonna wake up and freaking freak out on you. Yeah, don't they play dead though?
He would still breathe.
That thing died like 5 minutes ago then because it's not even really dirty. It's what's with all this garbage here? Rad, nuclear magic. Like this had like a track system. So whatever they were building could be slid through these doors. Look, they had the cutout. That piece of insulation is covering it, but so there was enough room. Yeah, it's like in Beetlejuice. There's a bunch of them up here. Yeah, look at this. All these rooms, super tall ceilings, and these doors are like, it's like 11-foot door. This is weird. Maybe in case of an explosion or something.
You know, it's sad to see this place and how it looks now after being so important and paving the way to technology that was unthinkable just a few years before.
A lot of these panels, I remember these being still full. Look, inject flush, fuel vent, Chapman valve, cell bypass. No idea what any of this stuff is. Fuel purge. One thing that's definitely different here in the last couple years is people have definitely been up there. The only graffiti up there was from back in like the 70s, and it said Jim Morrison and the Doors. And now that's all completely covered over. Yeah, the only way I can see up there is with the drone. I'm not climbing that thing. It was interesting to come here. Hope you liked it. If you didn't see the original video, then definitely go and check that out. I'll put a link down below. It's a little bit different than I normally do. Because it was years ago, like I said, I was trying out different techniques and there's some sounds added, and I know some people hate that. This was more just of a, just a walk through, compare what it looks like now. So, all right, hope you liked it. Getting out of here. See you in the next video.